We gotta get those bottles so we can just squirt it in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pass it around.
Yeah, have
Yeah.
the water boy walk around. No, have him spray it.
Present the budget. I know. We're gonna be watching.
Auctioneer.
You were back and they came back.
So there,
Back to trouble.
Just for you.
Well, that's what I had
You're
originally.
back with a tan too, yes, I know.
Money
that
we
was,
don't have.
is that what was voted?
They don't understand why they can't get it.
Yeah, right.
Need a cup right now, probably another cup and a half hour or so.
That's right, you're in for the long haul today.
You're okay, don't worry about it.
Hope I'm okay.
Being the hour of 7 o'clock, we'll open the Selectmen's Meeting of March 26th. Before we get into the meeting's agenda, I'd like to mention that we have lost three very active people that have served the community over the years. They recently passed away. And that's James Dwyer. He served on the town's Recreation Commission. John Larson, who served on the school committee and was also chairman of the school building committee back in the early 70s. Alphonse Vigent, very active in Veterans Affairs and a member of the Oxford Memorial Honor Guard. I ask now for a moment of silence. Thank you. We have a busy agenda this week. We haven't met due to vacations and snowstorms and what have you. It's been a tough winter. Just to go over what the agenda is about, at 7 o'clock, we have a presentation of the town's 2014 budget. At 7:15, Class 2 license request for Your Auto Expert, Robert Appleton, manager. 7:30, C&T Auto Sales. It's a new Class 2 license. 7:45, Haas Inc., new Class 2 license for James Hadley. 8 p.m., Oxford Package Store, Pledge of Agreement. And 8:15, we'll have the Selectmen's request and Town Manager's report. With that, we'll go to the first item on the agenda, and I will yield to the Town Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've often used my annual budget message to comment on the impact of variations in state aid and what the effect they've had on the operation of our local government. And usually those comments had to do with state aid increases that were less than what was needed to maintain just level service in the programs we are required to provide and the functions we are required to perform. This year, the governor has proposed a budget that will provide minor increase in state funding for education and possibly an increase in general government aid. That's what used to be lottery distribution. It's now called unrestricted general government aid, or UGGA, lovingly referred to as UGA. But it depends on a state income tax increase. And that tax increase doesn't have much favor in the legislature right now. We'll see what happens. In addition, we don't know what impact the so-called sequester of federal funds will have on our budget, the state budget, or the economy in general. So once again, we find ourselves with a budget proposal that is a work in progress. In the past, I presented the first draft of the budget 90 days before the annual town meeting. This year, given the recently approved charter change, I'm presenting the first draft of the budget 45 days before the annual town meeting, and consequently with more complete information. For example, we know that what the regional school assessment is. We know that we have a 0% increase in health insurance premium. In the past several years, doing it earlier, we had no clue. And we have the local school budget, and we have made arrangements to reduce our electricity costs. You'll recall that the board took action to enter into call it a net meter credit with a solar electricity producer. So, we have better information on anticipated costs, but still unsure about revenues due to the uncertainty about state aid and the sequester. In conclusion, I want to express my sincere appreciation to all our town officials, boards, committees, commissions, employees, and residents for their cooperation, understanding, and help in building a financially sound municipal government, and I ask for your continued support and courage as we face these extremely uncertain financial times. For some detail on the budget, members of the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen by charter were formally provided with the draft that Mrs. Folio, our Finance Director, will summarize. We'll have slides presented here so you can see and ask questions and talk about those things in general. Thank you. Mrs. Folio?
Thank you. I wanted to start out by trying to show where some of our revenue has come from over the last, say, 10 years and the shift in the burden to the taxpayer. In 2004, you can see the state aid and the tax levy were very close. In 2014, you can see that there's a big difference. The tax levy has assumed all of the burden for any of the increases, where you can see the state aid is still not back up to where it was in 2009, and neither is the local estimated receipts. They're close. We're going in the right direction, but just wanted to show the difference. The burden has shifted. This year, our 2014 revenues are coming from 3 basic sources. 6% will come from local estimated receipts. Those are things like your motor vehicle excise and earnings on investment. State aid, 38%, and from the tax levy, 56%. Some of the changes that I want to highlight on the revenue budget. The first change was the debt exclusion. That money has changed over the 3 years. In 2013, which is the year we were in, we did do some changes by doing a redemption on one of the elementary school bonds, so that showed a reduction in that year. But then 2014, we go back up because we've already bonded permanently on the middle school project. Some changes on the cherry sheet revenue. The charter school tuition has changed by $45,000. That's money that we get reimbursed for kids going to charter school. That would show me that we have less going to charter. And you can see that they've added that, or it looks like they've added that into the Chapter 70 number. School choice receiving tuition, that has increased. And the local aid annual formula up there is a brand new item. I'm not sure if that will actually hold when this budget at the state level goes through. That's a new category altogether. Cherry sheet assessments have also changed. Choice changed a little bit, but the charter school is the one that had a dramatic change, and it's a reduction of almost $300,000. That confirms that we're either sending less to charter, or maybe some that were in charter school have graduated and moved on. But that's a positive for the school department. For our expenditures, this shows the history of where money has been allocated. General government had a transition between the 2004 and the 2009 because we added a facilities maintenance department. That was a newly created department in general government. The other increases were, there were some in public works, public safety, employee benefits, and then education, which includes both Bay Path and Oxford. changes that I made in this year's expenditure budget, in 2014, we've taken electricity, the town manager referred to that. Those electricity costs were budgeted in, say, the police department, people that had buildings. We've moved it out of those departments and put it into municipal utilities, added it to what was once called streetlights. It'll make processing the energy credits a lot easier. I didn't do it to the school still has their energy in their budget, and I didn't do it to enterprise funds.
Water, sewer, and community center.
One of the focuses that we tried to do for the 2014 was do some restoration of hours and positions that had been lost during the 9C cuts. We've addressed quite a few of them. This will benefit the town hall, the senior center, and the library. Other areas of expenditure changes, we've added some personnel at the police department this past year. DPW, fire EMS has about a 5 to 6% increase even after I've removed the electric, gave them a savings on the electric. I've included a line for the 300th celebration for public safety. There will be associated costs that are not recurring, they're one time. I felt that was an appropriate place to budget for police and fire EMS protection for that event. Retirement, if you remember from last year, they had changed our allocation from a salary type allocation for our assessment to an actual individual actuarial study. That's being done, phased in. 2015, it's complete actuarial only. And health insurance, the good news, Tufts and Fallon have both come in with a 0% increase. If you look at how it prorates out, 52% for education, that also includes Bay Path. Your non-appropriated expenses is 3%, those are your assessments. Debt services, 3%. Employee benefits, that's your health insurance, retirement, that's 19%. Culture, recreation, 1%. Human services is so small it doesn't even come up to a whole percent. Public works, 7%. Public safety, 7%. And general government, 8%. The interesting, when I looked at this, it's not really a true picture of expenses because a lot of what we refer to as indirect costs that are contained in those departments are part of the school department's indirect cost. So what I did to get you a better picture is I reallocated for those indirect costs by removing the costs that are in the indirect from those departments and adding it to the school's budget so you could get a true picture of true costs. And then if you spread that back over, you can see where when I reallocate those indirect costs, where we're spending the money. Changes as just a small variation.
So you see that all the employee benefits that are school employee benefits are in this section of the pie. The work the DPW does, that the general government does, all those things that are calculated in the indirect cost are reflected in this pie chart.
So the 6 points remaining under employee benefits is for what?
Town side.
Non-school employees.
Non-school employees.
But you said the health insurance went into DPW, public safety, so
Yeah.
that's town hall, that's,
Police,
Everybody
fire.
non-school is still in employee benefits.
okay, so when you separated it out for the school, you didn't put it into public works and public safety?
Oh, no. No, we left
Only
it-
if the indirect cost for, example, snow plowing operations, there's a piece that's in the indirect cost that is that's budgeted under public works.
And understanding that, I'm looking at the 6% you have left on employee benefits.
That's all non-school,
So where you took the 11%, because it was 13%, because it was 19, I believe,
yeah.
you moved that over to the school and you
Right.
moved, which was 11% or 10%. The other 3% went where? mixed into,
No, I moved the whole thing, but you,
okay, so where you're giving us the view of the school and keep it 6% as the government side,
right,
I see you could have done the same thing with public safety, you could have done the same thing with public works, maybe making that 6 into a 3, and it would have been a more fair representation, rather than saying, hey, look at the school, it really is, we're saying this, but it's really this.
yeah,
Well, so isn't the police and fire, not just this, but this.
right.
No, I just wanted to be fair all the way across the
Yeah.
board with it.
The only reason I did that is because we do have that $5 million in line that says indirect costs, and I wanted to show you where,
Fixed and shared, sure.
Yeah.
To Hank's point, I'd like to see this taken one step further next year, Joe, and see how much of the benefits, the cost of benefits for police, DPW, all the offices we have, the town clerk, every office in town, every department in town. That way we get, the taxpayer at town meeting can look at the budget and say, this is what it actually cost me to run the police department. I think $1.8 million, it's $3 million. This DPW isn't $1.5
So,
million.
and that would eliminate that pie, that piece of the pie that is labeled
I would like
employee benefits.
I would like it to see, I'd like to see all the benefits broken down in department, because everyone knows there's associated costs with every employee we have.
Right.
You may hire a guy, for instance, at DPW, he may be a $15 an hour guy. But by the time you throw benefits and everything, you're looking at a $21, $22 an hour guy. I think it's fair, it'd be more fair for the taxpayers when they come to town meeting to look at the budget and say, this is what it actually cost me, because as board members, we have the luxury to walk in your office anytime we want and say, Joe, what is the actual cost for this, this, and this? But when you go to town meeting, it's very, very difficult for the taxpayer to look through this and to say, they're just not gonna know, so maybe next year, Donna, if we could do it one
I
step
can't
further,
vote,
so.
we can't vote it that way, but we can definitely have information about it and the amounts.
Oh, just, right, exactly. I mean, if that information could be additional costs for each department, or just break down your fixed and shared
Almost,
costs
yeah, an
sure.
overhead, the
per
overhead.
department, and then people that go to town meeting can see exactly what each department we have in town costs, right down to the penny.
Yep,
May I follow up, Mr. Said?
Yes.
And in follow-up to what Mike was saying, I know in the fixed and shared, I see which salaries get split between the school and the town. If I was using that same formula, wouldn't I take, and I'll use you as an example because you're before us, 7% of your pay must go to public works, 8% of your pay must be generated because of town hall, 7% must be because of fire or police. You could actually do that and then fixed and shared like you do. It'd be the same bottom line, just showing the fixed and shared. You can still keep it in the line item you have for health insurance and retirement or what have you.
Right, right.
But it would show the fixed and shared more fairly. Because a lot of these, like the school, I mean, everybody says it, and last year folks said you had a $14 million budget. No, you had an $18 million budget. But they don't look in bottom line. They weren't looking at the fixed and shareds.
right.
Those who know what they're looking at do look at that. And I like to see it, as Mike said, for every department. I've been wanting to see that for a long time. So it'd be nice if you did that. And then, of course, because I won't be here next year, but it'd be nice if it was put online so I could read it that way too. That's all I have, John. Thank
The
you.
only other category, there is in employee benefits, there's general insurance, which is your umbrella policies and stuff. That I'd leave
That's overhead.
under employee benefit category, but I can definitely break out
Yep, thank
the
you.
rest.
I like that chat, by the way. Thanks.
All right, and the next one that's really tentative right now, capital program request. I have some question marks up there because I don't have solid numbers on a lot of things that have been requested. Update of maps in the GIS. We're working with the state right now to get our maps updated. There's another piece to it to bring it completely up to date, and it's about 25,000. The townwide document management system, we had requested that last year. It was 151,000. We're whittling away at that in the IT department and trying to buy different modules of it through the operating expenses, so that amount will be less than that. The town hall clock tower repair, I'm not sure of the amounts, but I put in a contingency for ADA compliance and fire suppression system, only because of what we just recently dealt with at the middle school, where it's a percentage of the assessed value of the building, and the assessed values for municipal buildings are not very high, it almost always triggers the ADA and the fire suppression. We have asked, I believe you spoke with Senator Moore about getting the change so that it's like a replacement value percentage, like the state buildings are.
We're looking, right now, the preliminary estimate based on the study that we had done last spring and summer. Anybody who's gone through the front door of the town hall and has looked left or right will notice that the plaques, the Civil War plaques, the memorials, the actual, this is a memorial hall, have suffered terrible water damage to the point that these marble plaques have turned in some cases to chalk because of the acid rain that's leached through. You can see it in the bricks. You can see from the other side of the street, if you look at the clock tower, put on your distance glasses, the jiggy jog in the brickwork that was patched. I'm not sure when it was patched or why the damage occurred, but there's a problem there. And the water's getting in, and we've got to stabilize this. Now, we're trying to make sure that it won't trigger, because it's basically repair, won't trigger any of these other changes. But the assessed value of this building is $656,000. That's an extremely nice home, but you couldn't rebuild this for $656,000. Even if the project is $250,000, it's going to exceed the 30%. So we're going delicately with this to make sure we can do these repairs and somehow get it classified as repairs. As Donna suggested, the problem is that the threshold is based on assessed value. However, for the state, because they don't do building assessment, they don't tax based on building value, they base it on replacement value of a building. I'd like to have the same shake here. What's the replacement value of this? And then we'd be treated more fairly, but that's life. We don't get treated fairly.
And then the facilities maintenance has requested replacing the heating and cooling system at 450 Main Street.
450 is the old police.
Yes. Public safety, I have requests for the recording upgrade, $25,000. 2 police cruisers at $87,100. The forestry skid at $25,000, and the EMS fire chief's vehicle at $50,000. The middle school fire suppression and ADA compliance are issues we've run into on the middle school project. We have gone to an ADA hearing. We have had quite a few things waived. There are some things that are going to be required, and there are also things that they gave us a time variance. That amount would include all the costs associated, even if it's a time variance, because even though they gave us maybe 5 years to do it, we would need to have the appropriation in place in order for us to continue with the completion of the project. Just as a reminder on that project, it was the roof, windows, doors, and HVAC, and some partial flooring. I believe the flooring has now been removed completely. We've completed the roof, and we can complete the roof and windows without hitting the threshold on the numbers. It's the HVAC update that we will not be able to continue without this. The $2 million on the fire suppression system is a real rough estimate, and that's if we do the pipes encased and not exposed. The building committee had a real concern with the age group that's there of having exposed fire suppression system, just due to possible vandalism of it.
And we are appealing that interpretation of not the interpretation, the basis of the code, which is what I just talked about, that the denominator is set at in calculating the percent is the denominator is the assessed value of the building, and and even the fire chief agrees that makes no sense. Because any other building, it would be the I guess you could say market value, replacement value of the building. And there is no market value. My argument's gonna be there's no market value for a school building. The last school
Yeah,
we
assessed-
sold,
Assessed properties are based on sales. There's not sales of municipal buildings in town that you can use. It's very difficult to use that number as, it's not used for taxation.
and they're schools, they're not easy they're not like a storefront or something that, office, it's not even really good office space. They're school buildings.
A new request for this year was school security cameras. That was $151,000. In Public Works, I have DPW recreation rule field concession stand at $76,400. John Deere wheel loader, it replaces number 51, of $163,400. And Sacarapa Road culvert rehabilitation, $600,300. If you remember, we had some sustained damage in the floods on that particular, actually 2 roads, that was one of them. We did get some FEMA money, but we were only allowed to bring the culvert back to the way it was before the flood, not to actually fix the problem. And also Huguenot Road culvert rehabilitation for $191,000. So the total capital items being requested, $5,645,700.
Yes, Mr. Vos?
This is probably a question. You mentioned $2 million for fire suppression system. You mentioned there was an additional cost for encasing the pipes in. What was the additional cost to do that?
I believe it ran from about $750,000 if it's exposed,
Yeah.
to $2 million if it's
Upwards
cut.
of 2 million.
So-
Before we go to our, before we go to our hearing, we'll have a better estimate on the cost of the fire
So
suppression.
$1.25 million that's a lot of vandalism. I mean, I just can't see spending that kind of money because we're afraid of vandalism. Heck, we're gonna spend $151,000 on security cameras. I mean, $1.25 million, really?
All
That
your
seems-
pipes would be exposed in every room, every hallway, every stairwell.
Yeah, I go to some nice restaurants that all the pipes are exposed. I mean, $1.2 million, I don't know. To me, that seems utterly ridiculous to even consider.
I kind of agree with you, Mike, but being an educator and knowing how the children are in a facility, you have an exposed sprinkler system. All you need to do is get that right person to trigger that sprinkler, wham. Now, what damage are you going to have from tons of water in a school building happening? So, to me, this has been, I'm on that committee, and this has been something that's bothered me right along.
Sorry, Dennis.
Mine is on.
Oh,
Maybe I'm not, because, again, I've had this discussion with some of our fire personnel that we have have to go through that exercise every month where the fire alarm goes off, and within a couple of minutes, that building's empty. So, what I'm saying is that, the state is gonna require us to put this kind of money into a building, because that's all you're gonna do is save a building. I don't think it's gonna save any lives, because the kids, the personnel are out of there. And, that's something that's required by law. We do it every month. I know the town does it every month, so, it's a very, very sticky point, but, yeah, I'm looking at, if we can somehow, just eliminate the whole expense, then it would help the project along. Otherwise, I think it's gonna hurt the project, because I don't know where we're gonna come up with $2 million.
I mean, but, well,
No.
you can do it for $750,000.
Yeah, but
I'm
it'll
just
be
saying,
exposed.
Well, you're looking at
and-
concrete floors, concrete walls for the most part. I mean, it's gonna be, I don't know, just,
I think it would have
it's
been different if we were actually doing a lot of renovation work in the building. We weren't cutting into very little was there any cutting into the ceilings.
Right.
So this is like a whole nother project.
Oh, no, I understand that, I understand.
So our hearing is April 9th. That's our next meeting as well. I'll let you know how that goes when we get back.
And then the last category I wanted to talk about was the Bay Path addition renovation project. This project was approved by the special ballot. The town of Oxford has not excluded the debt. In FY 2014, $56,810 will be paid to Bay Path for that associated debt for that year. That's within the town's levy limit. Every year after that, that number goes up for about 3 years, and then it'll stay at that number for however long they have the bond issue out.
Mr. Sapp?
Yes.
You, at the beginning of this, said that with some of the increased revenues we received, you put back positions that were cut by 9C. When were those 9C cuts made? What year was that?
2009.
2009. How much are those people in positions? What's the value of those that you put in?
I would say probably around 100,000.
So almost double what you're gonna ask us later on to debt exclude, you put back in personnel that we've lived without for 5 years. Thank you, I have no more questions.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
We've lived without, but not well. And
We've lived without, Donna. You're asking people to dig deeper and deeper and deeper,
But
and it's
you-
going to pockets, it's going to services. You know, I would love to ask the voters, you know, someday in May, if you couldn't get a birth certificate to come into the town hall on a Monday, but you'd save X amount of dollars off your tax rate, would you do it? If I told you for you to be able to come in here, it costs you $110 a year to come in on this day, so you can do this one, would you pay it? I bet a lot of folks would say, for my $10 birth certificate, I'm not gonna pay $120 for it. And if you break things down, we like to say it's 4 cents on the levy, it's 12 cents on the levy. We're looking here at a $56,000 debt that we're putting in people's pockets for services that we say we haven't lived well without. We've managed for 5 years, Donna, and I think we could continue. And I know that the numbers aren't up. You can hear the school department, the janitors, I'll tell you their numbers are down, but the jobs are still being completed. That's all I'm saying. And again, that's not the time. That's gonna come up later on in Joe's request. But, you know, I saw that there and figured, while I had you here, I'd ask the question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead.
That's it. That's all I had for you, unless you have questions.
Any questions?
Lots of questions, but we know where you are, so it works for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Mrs. Folio. As we will, there was a request earlier to have this up on the website, so for folks at home, we'll post the details. Stay tuned, however, because as we make changes with new information, we will be updating it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Give me a break. Mr.
Next
Chairman,
agenda item
Yes,
is,
I do have a question for you on the next 3 items coming up. They're all Class 2 auto licenses. Because my brother holds a Class 2, I would have to step away. And Mr. Vos, because he had talked with ethics and being a business partner of my brother's, has got to step away, which of course wouldn't leave you with a quorum. My question is, do you wish to invoke the rule of necessity? I won't participate, can abstain, and then, of course, you'll have the quorum so you can hear these, because some of these, it's the second or third time on the agenda.
Okay, what we can do is, can either invoke the rule of necessity, or
Vos.
just abstain from
I
the
won't, I
vote.
just want to make sure folks understand, I will not
Yep.
participate,
Right.
I will not vote. I'm just sitting here for purpose of nothing more than a quorum.
You can abstain just for the purpose of a quorum.
Right, but because my brother does hold a Class 2, I'm not allowed to participate in any way,
I
shape,
think
or
as
form.
long as that's disclosed on both of your parts.
There's my disclosure.
Then it's possible for you to sit here in order to make a quorum.
Right.
But not participate.
There you go. Now you get that from me, John.
It's the same thing.
All right.
As Hank had mentioned, Pete Lamont, who does have a a Class 2 license is a business partner. I did contact ethics because I could not believe the fact that I'm not involved in any auto. I think, but, you know, I've abstained this far, and I will, you know, continue to
Okay.
abstain.
Let the record note that. Okay. Next item on the agenda is your auto expert, Robert Appleton, manager. You present?
Yes, sir.
Could you come forward, please?
Would you like me to be seated, stand?
Sure, absolutely.
As you may or may not recall, about sometime last year, not quite a year ago, I came to you to move into Bonnet's with my small used car operation, and you approved that. And since then, I've having sent in change of address to the Mass DOT. After a period of back and forth, they came back with a request that a letter from the town state that both locations, since there are two active, since there's a dealer and a repairer at the same location, I'll just quote from the letter, it's not allowed that two dealers or repairers be at the same location without something from the town of Oxford stating on their letterhead that both locations are separated legally by units or suites. We had established kind of separation of our operations there in terms of the space on the ground and space I was using inside the building and the times I was there. But in dialogue with the Mass DOT, it became clear that we needed something that was more physically identifiable, walls, doors, and things of that nature. What Bonnet's have done, what we have found, is they had an office in the back of the building that was being used as storage space, which we have since cleared out. I supplied some photos. I don't know if they've circulated. I made copies. Okay. So we've established a separate exterior entrance, separate location inside the building, separate signage, and a modified address with the post office so that it's 456 Main Street, Suite A. And that is what I'm here for, is to modify the license, get an approval from you for the Suite A configuration of the building.
Okay, does the registry have any issue with this?
The issue is that they want something from the town certifying or identifying the fact that it is in fact legally separated. The police department has gone and looked at it and has, as near as I can tell, signed off on it as a separate location, and that's really what they want, is a separate address in effect. And it is physically a separate unit within the building.
Mr. Manager, are you satisfied that the appropriate departments have,
We've asked police to look at it. They inspected it and determined that we had the, it was either I don't know if it was planning board. Yeah, I think it was Rhonda and Adele, the building inspector and the DPW engineer went and checked it out as well. There's no change in the site plan required. My only question is, since you're Suite A,
Yes.
is there a Suite B or is it?
No.
Okay, there's a A, no B.
Yeah.
So I think you might have to.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I had some conversation with the post office and explained the dilemma, and they said, why don't you just, for the purposes of their understanding who and where I am, make it Suite A, and so that's why.
So
we
I
took that.
suspect that what we'd have to do is reissue the Class 2 license with that address?
It's already in.
It's in there?
Created, yeah,
Okay,
with the Suite A.
and everything is good to go.
if there any questions? Yes, go ahead.
I have really no issue with it. The only thing is that I have gone to Barnett's for a sticker, and they got this nice big sign outside of the fence saying, "Do not enter," and they only like you to, once they take your vehicle in, you used to go into what is now your office, and that's where
Right.
you would wait.
Yeah.
So how are they gonna handle that? You know, where you're a sales place, I mean, are people gonna be allowed back there, or is
Sure.
that, you know?
Yeah.
So I would think they should modify that sign a
Yeah,
little bit.
the sign is intimidating. It refers just to people that are pulling in for inspections,
Right.
saying, you know, don't just pull in, park here and go and check in at the front office. And
Right.
so,
So, I mean, still as coming there to buy an auto, that might be,
Well,
you know, intimidating that how do I
Yeah.
get to your office, which is there, so.
virtually all of my customer contact there is by appointment anyway,
Oh,
so
okay.
I explained to people what the protocol is.
Okay. Very good, thank you.
If there are no further issues, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved?
Been moved. Have a second? There being, I'll make the second. Okay, the motion has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes, let the record show 2 in the affirmative, 1 absent, 2 abstaining. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And I appreciate Karen's help along the way and giving me guidance as to how to proceed. She's
you.
very capable assistant, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is C&T Auto Sales. Hi, have a seat, please. And you are Mr. Suarez?
Alfred Soares, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Suarez is before the board this evening to apply for a new Class II license at 381 Main Street. Fernando's Auto Sales was previously located at 381 Main Street, but has gone out of business. Mr. Suarez will be using the site plan already approved for 381 Main Street. Okay. Have the appropriate inspections been made, Mr. Manager?
Yes, nothing's changed, Mr. Chairman. So the site is, when Fernando left, the site remained as shown on the site plan that he used. So you're using that site plan.
And the business was used for the same purpose?
Yes.
And there is no problem with the parking because it will duplicate what you're going to be using? Questions, concerns?
Nope.
There being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved?
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes, let the record show 2 in the affirmative, 2 abstentions, 1 absent. Motion carries. Good luck. Next on the agenda, Mr. James Hadley.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is a new Class II license, and it would be located at 6 Boulder Parkway in North Oxford. Please.
Correct. I own Boulder Industrial Park. My name is Gary LeBlanc. This is James Hadley. He's applying for a 3-car dealer license to sell cars out of there, and he's using an office in 6 Boulder Parkway. So we come in front of you tonight looking for that license.
Okay. And you've been before the planning board?
Yes.
Correct.
Mr. Manager, any concerns? from
No,
the
we
planning
have no
board?
concerns. Was there a leasing agent there before?
Yep, they moved out.
But now you're gonna sell up to 3 cars?
Correct.
Okay.
I remember Fleet
That's,
moved
that's
up to
where
the
I
town.
was trying to figure location,
Okay.
because I'd been back there, I wondered. Thank you.
Questions?
Nope, have no issues.
No, I have no issues either. It's in a location that seems prime for this type of use.
Thank you.
It's a very limited number. I have no issues with it. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved?
It's been moved, and I'll second it. Moved and seconded. Discussion, being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Yes, let the record show 2 in the affirmative, 2 abstentions, and 1 absent. Motion carries.
Now
Good
come buy a
luck.
car.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Hey, Bedman.
Yeah, guys.
See ya.
Oxford Package Store. And this is in regards to a pledge agreement.
Yep. Hi.
Mr. Patel,
Yes, sir.
okay? You want to explain why you're here and why you're pledging?
We want to pledge the license. Actually, the first time we made a application, maybe attorney forgot or something, to pledge the license to the bank because we was getting finance from the bank. So now we're here again to get the pledge of the license to whoever's lending, whichever bank is lending us the finance.
And the reason why you're here is because the law requires that you come before the licensing board if there is a pledge. Normally, it's done at the time of application, but in your case, it, for some reason, was overlooked or it wasn't necessary for the pledge at that time.
Yeah,
So really, nothing changes other than the fact that you would be pledging the stock
Mr. Chairman,
of the license. Yes,
how many pledges do we have out there right now,
I'm
Mr. Manager?
not aware.
No.
I knew we do have some.
I don't think.
I don't
I-
recall that being an issue in any of the,
In 12
Liquor
years, I don't recall
licenses
seeing a
that I've
pledge
been
agreement. I was reading it before this meeting, the pledge agreement, and I understand what it is. The bank's giving you money, SBA is backing the loan.
Yeah.
SBA wants they want the availability to liquidate your merchandise should you not pay. I understand it. I just don't recall seeing it.
And we've had them.
We've had them.
Yeah.
Okay. I have no problem one way or another.
Mr. Vos?
You know, being new, I've never, come across one of these. How does that work? Basically, we're pledging the license to, should Mr. Patel default, the bank is gonna,
The bank is giving them the money because
Right.
they want to ensure that the money they're giving is going to be properly utilized. They don't want all of a sudden
No.
that license to be taken away or sold, and they're holding the bag for X amount of dollars.
Right.
So it just secures
So
the position of the bank.
they retain the rights to the license?
Absolutely.
So, I just kick the can down the road 6 months, say Mr. Patel, I don't believe he'll default, but if he defaults and the bank says, okay, it's our license, and then the bank does not use this license for 6, 8, 10 months, a year, what happens then?
Well, it's up to the licensing authority at that point. The bank would have to come in, okay, and then we would sit with the bank and say, listen, that license, you're not just gonna sit on it. We give them X amount of time in order to roll that over to get a new individual to come in to apply for it, for that particular location.
John, is there a current policy that says there is a time certain, 3, 6, 9 months? Is there a policy somewhere that?
I don't think there's a written policy. I think the ABC
30 days
has
before.
a 30-day suggestion as to how long it should be before a license is turned over. But they leave it up to the local licensing authority, and we have done that in the past. We've extended a period of time from 30 to 60 days, and I think it was for, trying to remember the location. You remember?
wasn't there one down,
Oh, it was.
Fairlawn?
Yeah, it was
At
the one next to
Fairlawn.
Cumberland's, that license. That went over to Bismarck. Remember, we gave them,
Right.
we gave them 30 days, they couldn't meet it in 30 days, so we gave them additional 30 days.
It's just interesting, that's all. Okay.
Yes.
But we're issuing the license to this gentleman, and all we're doing is guaranteeing to the bank that he is using the license for that purpose.
Right.
So if he defaults, in reality, we can take the license back.
The bank can't use that license.
Right, okay. I want to make sure I was.
They have to come
yeah.
before us.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, they're holding that license basically for that specific location, period.
It's collateral. so-
Yeah.
that's what I thought, I just wanted to make sure.
So then he can't take the license and run
Right.
Right.
if he goes bad, so, that protects them, I guess.
Yep.
Because they can't use it, not without your approval.
Right,
Right,
right. And the ABC's approval for that
Right.
matter. Because our actions have to be approved by the ABC.
And my concerns weren't the bank using it, just the license being out there. How long is it
Yeah,
gonna be out there?
they can't do that.
Okay.
Any other questions, concerns? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
I'll make the motion that
Motion?
we approve this pledge.
I'll second it. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes,
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes, let the record show 3 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, 1 absent, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Oh, all right.
Are there things in the Madam
Safer that
Clerk,
way.
things in the to-be-signed folder
Okay.
for the board? On this?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
I'll explain that to John after.
Okay, town manager's report.
Back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please bear with me, we haven't had a meeting in 6 weeks, so there's some things we need to catch up on. I have meeting minutes. Request the board vote to approve meeting minutes of December 4, 2012. All were present. Pleasure of the board.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, record show 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent, motion carries.
Request the board vote to approve the meeting minutes of December 18th, 2012. Selectman Lamountain was absent. Pleasure of the board.
Entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes, 3 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, 1 absent, motion carries.
Request the board vote to approve the emergency meeting minutes of February 8th, 2013, in reference to the blizzard of February 8th and 9th, 2013. Selectman Casey and Selectman Lamountain were absent. Pleasure of the board.
Entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes, 3 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, 1 absent, motion carries.
We have a resignation. Please be advised, we've received the resignation of Mr. Ralph Lepore from the Planning Board effective February 21st, 2013. Mr. Lepore was on the Planning Board, was a Planning Board member for 20 years.
Mr.
Yes.
Chair.
Mr. Chair, I think it would be very appropriate as if this board were to send Mr. Laporte a letter stating how we are so thankful for his services to the town for so many years. I just think that would be appropriate.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Second that.
Been moved and seconded by Mr. Lamountain. Discussion? Yes, Mr. Lamountain?
John, as I said earlier, I watch planning board for some reason, and I have since I've been a selectman. Ralph was good for the town. He thought of things that, sometimes were outside the parameter of planning board. He thought of the little kid running across a parking lot, He was worried about what the flowers were gonna look like. But he always had Oxford and its people's best interest at heart. He'll be missed. He was a good guy to watch. I'll miss him. I just wanted to say that publicly.
Point well taken.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yeah, I had the pleasure to serve on the planning board, Ralph, for 6 years, and I always found Mr. Lepore to be a complete gentleman. Like Hank said, he definitely had the best interest of the town at heart. And in the 6 years I was on that board, I do not remember Mr. Lepore ever missing a meeting. And we had some long meetings back then. Joe remembers, he was the town planner at the time, and we'd be running till 11, 12 o'clock at night sometime, and Ralph would be there, rain,
Yeah.
sleet, or snow, and just want to thank Mr. Lepore very much for everything he's done for the community.
I would also like to express my feelings to Mr. Lepore. I had the pleasure of being a selectman all during his tenure on the planning board. He's always been a pleasure to work with, and he's always had the town's best interests at heart. His dedication will certainly be missed. He was always at town meeting as well. I wish him and his family the best. Any other comments, concerns? If not, we have a motion on the floor, and it's been seconded by Mr. Lamountain. I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, let the record show 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent, motion carries. Mr. Manager?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I request the board vote to hold the town manager's evaluation at an upcoming meeting. Pleasure of the board.
Okay, I will open it to the board to set a date.
What's the
What do we have
policy?
available, Madam Clerk?
Excuse me?
How's the next meeting look?
Actually, the next meeting is filling up. I don't know if you'd like to wait till the 23rd. We've got 2 items, possibly 3 on April 9th.
Okay,
Um,
the 23rd is,
The
Pretty much
23rd is
open.
pretty much open.
okay, I would request that we put it on the 23rd. Could we have a
Sounds
motion?
good. I'll make that motion that we hold it on the 23rd.
Second it.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent, motion carries.
Thank you. Debt exclusion is the heading next. And it segues from Mrs. Folio's presentation earlier. Request the board vote to place on the May 21st annual town election ballot a debt exclusion for the town's share of the debt on the Bay Path School renovation project that was recently approved in a district-wide election. Pleasure of the board.
Take a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion. Mr. Lamountain?
For the folks who are watching and the folks in the audience, my second is not an endorsement for the exclusion. My second is an endorsement for the procedure. The debt exclusion really does lie with the electorate, the people out there who voted for the school. It's up to them to determine their pocketbook. It's not up to me to determine their pocketbook. So by making the second, I did so purposely, so folks can see I am all in favor of the process. That doesn't mean you wouldn't see me outside holding a sign saying vote no for the exclusion, but it's not here nor there. I just wanted to say that.
Your point is taken.
There you go.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent, motion carries.
Thank you. Town meeting article. Incorporation of the town. The board has received a request from Mr. Alan Hammond of the Tercentennial Committee to place on the annual town meeting warrant an article to declare July 15th, 1713, as the official date of the town, official date that the town of Oxford was incorporated. Pleasure of the board.
Mr. Hammond?
I heard from the Historical Commission in this matter. After sending that forward, I wanted to make sure it was brought up in time to be put on the warrant. I've since heard from the Historical Commission that they would prefer that it be the July 8th date when the paperwork was initially signed, which is one of the unusual circumstances we have within this town. The paperwork was signed, delivering the deed to us on the 8th, but not recorded in Boston until the 15th. So either date could be correct. The Historical Commission feels that when the town was given the property, that it should be the 8th, not the 15th. So I would just request that it change to the 8th, out of respect to the Historical Commission, who's been working on this for a number of years.
Thank you, because I did also speak to the chairman of the Historical Commission, and they did have some concerns. And basically, this goes back, Alan, to 2010. Matter of fact, I had the clerk dig out the letter that the board received back in 2010 from the Historical Commission. And they were before us. And they explained this whole thing to us. And I can understand your confusion, because we were all confused at the time, because there's really no actual written documentation spelling out the exact incorporation of the town. Just for a little bit of historical background, back in 1693, and I wasn't here, by the way, but in 1693, when the Huguenots settled here, that was also a time that we felt that the town should have been our official date, 1693. But because we were a British colony at the time and under British rule, the Huguenots being French, the British weren't about to approve a settlement by the French. That's my interpretation.
Right.
So that's why several years later, after the massacre and what have you that took place, and people vacated the area, and then the British came back, the English came back, and more settlers came in. Back in 1713, that's when they decided that they would go along with the town being incorporated as a town. And I do have a copy of the documentation that the Historical Commission gave me regarding what they found at the archives in Worcester at the Antiquarian Society, yes. And it indicated, the document indicated at that time that the forefathers back then spelt out July 8th as the date, but it didn't actually get recorded, okay, until the 15th. So the 15th is actually just a recording date. It's not the date of incorporation. Forefathers anticipated that it would be the date that they voted on, which was July 8th, 1713. Sure.
The reason I brought all of this up now is the Historical Commission has been working diligently to try to get this straightened out. And I did a follow-up with one of our state senators who said he needed the Board of Selectmen to put it on the town meeting warrant so that you could request the special act legislation for it to take place in time for us to actually have this hopefully declared in time for our 300th anniversary celebration. It would be a shame not to be celebrating our 300th anniversary without a date.
Yep.
So it's just do a little housekeeping, and the Historical Commission has done a tremendous job getting all the paperwork, to finding all the correct dates, but we're on a deadline here.
You're absolutely correct. And even though the Historical Commission voted back in 2010 that the 8th was the date, there was never any legislation filed. And we don't know why it wasn't. Maybe because somebody just decided, well, leave it. That's what it is. Let's just leave it. But maybe it's time now that we get a resolution passed spelling out that that's the date. We've been celebrating this since 1713. We don't want to change history now. And as a matter of fact, the Historical Commission voted back in November of 2010 unanimously that was the date, the 8th was the date. After their research, that's the date that they confirmed that should be our
And I
date.
respectfully
But
understand the
to
date.
your point, though, and I know what you're trying to say, is to try to get something squared away for the
It
15th.
requires a special act legislation.
And there's, let's see if I can read this. In any event, if the town wishes to draft and file legislation, the Board of this is from Senator Moore. In any event, if the town wishes to draft and file legislation, the Board of Selectmen can ask the governor by letter if he will introduce the bill for the town to validate July 8th, 1713 at the official date of incorporation, as the official date of incorporation of Oxford. If the governor prefers not to do so, then the town meeting can approve an article to do so. Once either process is followed, I would do my best to expedite passage in the Senate. I am not in a position to guarantee speedy approval in the House. Only Oxford's representatives can achieve that. However, we could try to get it done promptly. If it can be done before the official date, the governor's signing of the bill could well be an event that leads up to the 300th celebration festivities. I am certainly willing to do whatever I can to help assist in this process. Senator Moore. So we have a couple of avenues to go. We can either go with the article, as you had suggested, just changing the date to the 8th, and put it in the legislature's ballpark, or we can send a letter to the governor asking him to present it and make an official thing of it. Now, whether or not that can be done by July, knowing how the state operates, that's kind of iffy.
Right.
So we can do it either way.
I would think that if we at least have the article put on the agenda, and in the meantime, if the Board of Selectmen were to act as stated and request the governor to do it, if the governor already has, by declaration, declared the date, it would supersede any need for the.
Then we wouldn't have to go
we
through
wouldn't
with the
have- But if he doesn't do it, then we still have that as an option to fall back on. I mean, if it's not done by July 8th of this year, or July 15th for our actual celebration, but if it's not done by that weekend, it's just a matter of, we'll have it for the next major celebration. But it would be nice to have it for this celebration.
It would be nice, but not, like you say, not necessary. We've been doing this for 300 years.
Exactly.
Okay, now, would the board be willing to do both, to put the article on and also send a letter to the governor
Definitely.
asking if he would be willing to present a resolution in that regard? And see if he can get it done by our anniversary?
I
So
think,
moved.
I think I'm gonna,
Second,
Moved and second, discussion? Yes, Mr.
I think I'm
Boss?
gonna have to abstain because I am the co-chair of the Tercentennial. Are you putting this forth as a member of the
I'm putting this
Tercentennial
forth,
Committee?
we took a vote at the Tercentennial Committee meeting.
We did, you're right. I'm gonna have to
we did.
abstain.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor that we ask our legislators to file legislation and as well send a letter to the governor asking him, and whichever comes first, comes first. Okay, call for the vote.
yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes, 3 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, 1 absent, motion carries.
Abstaining.
Thank you for the clarifications.
Happens, Mikey.
I'm glad
So we
that-
will include an article on the warrant.
Yes.
Yes.
Requesting, or authorizing the selectmen to request the special legislation.
Right.
And we
For
will
the-
also
for the
draft a
July
letter to the governor and ask him to, you have this procedure
Oh, I'll
from
get
Senator
that.
Moore?
Yeah, I can give it to him.
Okay. And maybe he'll come out and sign it here on the 8th.
You never know.
Who's that?
The governor.
Oh, yeah, he'll be right out.
Yeah.
Especially after the kind letters we've sent him.
I don't think he goes west of 495, does he?
I thought he had a camp out there.
Oxford,
He'll probably
Oxford
come in
where?
hand with all the letters
Yeah,
that
all the
we've sent
letters
him.
that I've sent him, right. Yes, stop it.
Go ahead.
Oh, we've, okay, town meeting again. Let me get my glasses on, I'm sorry. We've received a request to place the road acceptance of Deer Hill Road. It's part of the Deer Hill subdivision that's located off of Prospect Street, behind Walmart, on the annual town meeting warrant. The board must hold a hearing to lay out the road before town meeting can consider this acceptance. Pleasure of the board to hold such a hearing?
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, discussion? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent, motion carries.
We'll do it either the 9th or the 23rd, Madam Clerk. We need to provide 7-day notice, but we will hold the layout hearing. We have a special state primary warrant for your signature. Pleasure of the board.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded, discussion? Being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent, motion carries.
We have a revocation, we need a revocation hearing. Request the board vote to hold a revocation hearing for 19 Industrial Park East Road. The owner is R&T Realty Corp. The annual registration of flammables has not been renewed with the town clerk's office since 2010. And according to an inspection done by the fire department, propane tanks are no longer in place at that address. So pleasure of the board to hold a revocation hearing for the the propane tanks that are no longer at 19 Industrial Park East Road.
I'll entertain a motion to have a hearing.
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Okay, it's been moved, do we have a second? I'll second it.
Second, okay.
That's right.
Any discussion? Being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Yes, 2 in the affirmative, 2 abstentions, 1 absent, motion carries.
We have a request for a one-day pouring license. The board's received a request from St. Roch's Church of 334 Main Street for a special one-day pouring license for wine and malt beverages. The date requested is Saturday, June 22nd, 2013. The time of operation will be 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. All beverages to be consumed in paper or plastic cups in the church hall, not outside. Pleasure of the board?
This request duplicates what we've done for the past several years without change, so I would entertain a motion that it be approved.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, discussion? Being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 absent, motion carries.
I know Mr. Himmelberger was here earlier. We've received correspondence from Superintendent of Schools Alan Himmelberger that the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education is inviting the board to partake in a review process by independent educators and evaluating ways to improve student achievement. Also to be discussed will be the budget development process that affects both the municipal and school district financial management. The suggested date for the meeting is Tuesday, April 9th, 2013, from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. in the school's central office conference room. Please notify your clerk as soon as possible so she may respond and post the meeting if needed to do so.
Who's hosting the meeting?
If three or more of you are there, our clerk will post the
No,
meeting.
I'm asking who is hosting
Oh,
this
I'm
meeting?
sorry, the school department.
Okay.
Their offices at the community center.
Okay.
Bulk item, we have been notified by DPW Director Sean Dival that the dates have been set for the spring bulk item drop-off. The dates are as follows: Saturday, April 27th, for residents residing north of Charlton Street and Sutton Avenue, and Saturday, May 8th, for residents residing south part of town, south of Charlton Street and Sutton Avenue. Drop-off dates will be strictly enforced, and that's in order to maintain a good service there. If anyone is however, if you're unable to make the date that you're assigned, you call the DPW office at 508-987-6006 before the 25th and make other arrangements. They'll give you a special dispensation to go on the other day. The times on both Saturdays will be from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Oxford Transfer Station. That's located up near the town of Leicester, 200 Leicester Street, which is Route 56 in North Oxford. Residents must have proof of residency, and households are limited to 2 loads. No businesses may take part. This is for residents only. End of text. Thank you. Tercentenary Parade. The board has received an invitation from the Tercentennial Committee to march in Oxford's 300th anniversary celebration parade on Sunday, July 14th. The parade will begin at 12 noon at the middle school and end at the American Legion. Please notify Ms. Deb LaMarche, the parade coordinator, no later than April 30th if you plan to march. Just a couple more reminders.
Pass my regrets to Deb.
It sounds like a long
I think
march.
you ought to march anyway.
No, I'm not much. Pass my regrets, thank you.
We'll get you on there.
I'm not gonna be a member of your board then.
That's right.
We have a special state primary and special state election. And, you know, it's like, how soon do we forget? We've received word from Town Clerk
30th.
Lori Kelly that the political calendar has been set relating to the special state primary and the special state election to fill a vacancy for the U.S. Senate that has been vacated by Mr. John Kerry. The following dates and times are: the last day and hour to register to vote before the special state primary is Wednesday, April 10th. The town hall will be open, or the clerk's office will be open until 8 p.m. And they open at 9 in the morning. They'll open until 8 p.m. That's to register for the primary. The state primary will be held on April 30th, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the regular places that you vote. Then, the last date and hour to register to vote before the special state election is Wednesday, June 5th. Again, the same hours, between 9, you don't have to wait until June 5th. You just have to register to vote before June 5th. And the town hall or the clerk's office will be open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then the special state election is Tuesday, June 25th, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. One may register to vote, change their name, address, or party affiliation at the office of the town clerk, or by sending a mail-in voter registration form to the office of the town clerk. That's here, 325 Main Street, Oxford, 01540. They have to be postmarked by the deadline listed above for the primary and/or the election. And two more reminders. The deadline for accepting applications for the Hannah Harwood Fund Scholarship is Monday, April 1st. That's next April. Or not next April. Next Monday. Yeah, it's this April. The annual $1,200 allotment is divided in half and paid in the first and second semester of the school year to the winning applicant who has chosen to enter the field of medicine or some allied health field. Applications may be dropped off at the Selectmen's office Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., or they may be mailed to the Town Hall Selectmen's office. Again, it's here at 325 Main Street, Oxford 01540. If you have any questions, you can call the Selectmen's office at 508-987-6032. No. 6027.
2-7.
And finally, the warrant for the annual town meeting will close on Tuesday, April 2nd at 4:30 p.m. Thus far, we have 2 petition articles, one for the culvert at Huguenot Road, one for a change to the Constitution that has to do with corporations being considered people, individuals.
And both of those items have enough signatures, correct?
Correct, they've all been verified.
So, yeah.
So they're on. Not Chairman, I'm sorry. Selectman Casey had requested a zoning article that would have to do with marijuana dispensaries. The notion was she wanted to protect residents from that. I had town council check our zoning bylaw, and based on what we know so far about that recent change in the state's attitude towards marijuana, the residents are protected. If somebody's gonna sell marijuana, they're gonna be considered a commercial enterprise, they have to be in a business zone. If they're considered a medical provider, they have to be also in a business zone to have a clinic. The only thing that we don't know about yet is how they're gonna treat the growing of marijuana. Whether is it gonna be like corn or watermelons, we don't know yet. The state has to decide what that all means.
So you can't smoke a watermelon.
I haven't tried either. So, that's where we are with that. There was, the police chief has requested an article that deals with, secondhand stores. Remember, we had the fellow that was selling or exchanging gold jewelry when he was supposed to be checking the sale of alcohol? But we have no licensing for that, so he has difficulty enforcing it. The purpose, of course, is to have better control over these kind of activities so that people aren't buying and selling stolen goods. We'll have also an article authorizing the board to acquire easements for the replacement of the culvert or bridge on Cummins Road. The state is pursuing that project. They'll pay for it, but we have to get the right-of-way cleared up. I don't think there's anything else right now of any import, but I'll let you know. That ends my report. Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you. Selectmen's request. Mr. Lamache.
Thank you. Well, about a month or so ago, we did write a letter to the governor because I brought up the issue of illegal immigrants getting tuition money, and the board probably knows, as I know, we got a nice little letter back from the Secretary of Education, Matt Malone, and there's a comedy routine that reminded me of, let's see, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third, and I think that's the way the state is run sometimes, because when I read this letter we got back, I couldn't disagree with it at all. It was fantastic, because everything in it says, and I'm reading right from it, that examination documents that show evidence that a student is lawful immigrant. And there's no issue. If you're a lawful immigrant, hey, you deserve all the rights of anybody else in this state. So what does that have to do with illegal immigrants? And they go through this whole thing. So I don't know. It just blew my mind. I had to say something, let the people know that we did get a response, and it's like, what's going on? So, nothing unusual. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Next.
Yeah, well, Dennis, you should know by now, politicians can talk for half an hour and never answer the question. John's mastered that.
Thank you, yeah, all right. I don't know if
I'm
that's a
just-
compliment or a shot.
I say that.
I always called it silk, John.
I'm envious of you, John. That's
Yeah,
great. I'm just
okay.
kidding. Geez, now I lost my train of thought. No. Joe, a resident had approached me, and this gentleman does quite a bit of walking with his dog and him and his wife every summer and night, and they have a big issue with crossing the street at the crosswalks. They feel as though they're not illuminated. So I did take a ride around town, and you drive up on these crosswalks, and you really can't even tell that they're there until you're on top of them. And so there is a valid point there. And he also had mentioned that the crosswalks themselves, we paint them green. With the poor illumination, you really can't see the crosswalks, even the paint on. So could you have the public safety people, Sean, and maybe we can talk to the power company. I don't even know if it's possible to relocate some of these lights closer to the crosswalk, so when people are walking across the street, they be able to be seen.
Or maybe add a
Pole.
street light. They're
don't know if
not
you-
quick, they're not quick to respond. Selectman LaMountain had brought to my attention a street light, and I did talk to DPW, they called National Grid, and we'll see, it gets,
Yeah.
and it's not just us, this is what they do.
Oh, believe me, I know. I deal with them every day.
Hold that bill money.
Yeah, hold it. There you go.
Right.
Hold that
No,
money.
two wrongs don't make a right. I investigated that once
Feel better.
before.
Is this just a simple request for streetlight?
I think so.
Well, I mean,
I mean, that,
it's,
we've never had an issue with that before, have we, Madam Clerk?
Street light request?
I haven't had.
I
much of
don't,
an
I
issue.
think,
I mean, we haven't had any yet in a
Right,
long time
right,
because of
right,
the
right.
budget situation. But I can recall whenever we've requested a streetlight,
Right,
I don't ever recall being refused. If the selectmen vote to approve a streetlight for a specific location, it's done.
there's a couple of the walkways that are not really, you get the walkway here and there's a pole over here and a pole over, so it's a bigger problem. It's unfortunate placements of the pole, so I don't really know what can be done, but if there's anything that can be done, because especially in the center of town, you have 23 Wheelock, you have a lot of elderly folk walking across the street. I would just hate to see,
We'll investigate that, and it's primarily the center of town?
it's really, they're all pretty poorly illuminated. If we could,
It's the crosswalks, those
yeah,
are
the
the,
crosswalks, if we could just take a look at them.
I will.
And one question for Joe, the parking lot back here, when do we anticipate that being completed? The paving, the curbing, is that gonna be done by July of
Yes.
300th celebration?
That's a condition of the.
Okay.
We just opened bids on that. I think in my opinion, we received a favorable bid, about a little over 20,000. Of course, the snow has to melt, and then we have to level that off because there has been some settling, but
Right.
it'll be done. I told them it's gotta be done before the end of the fiscal year.
Excellent, that's all I have, thank you.
Mr. Lamont?
John, usually, Joe, I don't sit here and throw compliments your way. But I read the article yesterday in the TNG, I don't know if Ellie did it or not, about Aquarian and the DPU, and, it's pretty frustrating to think that these guys said they're gonna tie us up in court and make us pay for their tying us up. And I can understand your frustration, they did a good job in putting that through. I have lots of folks asking, and especially after that article today, people were angry. They're mad at Aquarian. I wish I could tell them to boycott Aquarian and, send your water checks to the town of Oxford and, to do something to get our monies back that they're costing us. But you're doing a good job with that. I know that you'd like to see that put to bed. We all like to see it put to bed. What is the status of Aquarian and Oxford right now? Where are we at?
6 weeks from yesterday, we have our trial date, May 6th.
May 6th.
May 6th. Now, we've exchanged documents. I don't know if that's the right word.
Okay.
If Selectman Casey were here, she could help me out. But this is this is our position, that's their position, can we sit down and talk? John Myrick of Myrick O'Connell is our lead litigator on this, and he's doing a good job. He's told them what the issues are as we see it, and quite frankly, it is Aquarion's issues. We're required by the legislation that created the Oxford Water Company, first of all, required. We have the right, the town has the right to acquire the water system upon payment of the actual cost of the water system. And in 1984, the Supreme Judicial Court, that's Massachusetts' highest court, established that that actual cost is original cost. So if they paid $5 a foot to put pipe in Main Street, we have to reimburse them $5 a foot. When we entered into this endeavor back in '77, we thought we would be paying them just as the citizens of Southbridge paid the Southbridge Water Company, the depreciated value. Because as they're expensing the depreciation, they're getting paid for the system. And okay, so this is what it is, but they're including things, they want to include things in this that we've determined are not cost. They're repair items. And they're overhead items that add nothing to the value. So this is where the court has to decide. The court said, we already know we can have it, what we have to pay. I think when we entered into, it'll be 4 years to the day, May 6, 2009, is when the town voted to authorize the selectmen to take this action. May 6th of 2013, we will be in court, finally get our day in court. We had figured the cost at 6.4 million then. I think we'll be closer to 5 by the time we're done.
Counting the legal fees.
No, we appropriated, I think, 6.7 before.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll come in lower.
I think we're gonna be in good shape.
Which is what I wanted the people to hear, because they hear the numbers, and, especially with the article, there's been costs attributed. And because of the arguing and the bickering that's gone back and forth, even though we're spending money, we're saving money.
Yes.
Right, and that's something that the folks needed to hear. I just want you to know, I watched it. Ellie, great job with that, if that were you. Just kudos to you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. Okay, I have a couple of items. First of all, I'd like to comment on the Access Oxford's work that they've done with our new system here. That screen is about 50 times the size of the one I have in my house. But I mean, everything has just come out so wonderful. And to have all the equipment that we had stacked up here, have it moved away so that people can see us and we can see them, it's just fantastic. You've done an excellent job. The cooperation between yourself and the manager's office has proven to be very successful, and we're reaping the benefits right now. Thank you very much for a job well done.
And these lights not being on, John, that's awesome.
Pardon?
The lights
These
are
lights not
on.
being on.
Oh, yeah, we're not blinded
Right,
anymore.
no blindness.
So it's really great. Thank you for
That is
that.
nice.
The other thing is, I also wanted to comment
Oh, yeah, that was tough.
on Joe's involvement with this, with the situation with the water company. I think that, Hank, you hit it right on the head on this. I mean, this has been going on for a long, long time. And the most frustrating part of this all is the type of feedback that we've been getting from the government agencies involved in this, okay? Whether it's the courts or the DPU, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Isn't it?
It's ridiculous what they've put us through here. And you can understand why people get frustrated with government and how it works. Because for 4 years, we didn't really get much help from the state. Not much help at all, if any.
No.
I mean, we had to press and prod every inch of the way. And thanks to someone like Joe, who has been on top of this since day one, we're still hanging in there. Because I really believe that the water company thought that they were gonna drag this thing out so long that we would be so frustrated with the legal cost and all the aggravation that they were putting us through, that we would abandon this. And we hung tight, and we're there. Now we have a court date. Who knows what's gonna happen in court? But I think we got an excellent shot at winning this, and if we don't, you know, shame on the system, because we've done everything we can to prove that that water company should belong to the town of Oxford. Job well done, Joe.
Thank you.
And the last and final thing I have is, I've had conversation, myself and the manager, with Mrs. Sarad. Mrs. Sarad, could you come forward under my request? Mrs. Sarad has a request regarding a sign that she wants to put on the town common.
The sign that's on the town common now, the message sign of what's going on the town common, is really in bad repair. And we're now into the age where everything is electronic. I want to propose putting an electronic sign there. I just want you to discuss it very shortly. You don't have to discuss it tonight, but I just want you to have the information. I would like to secure
Joyce,
funding for this.
Could you sit down so that
Yes.
the people at home can hear you?
Oh, yes, of
The
course.
microphone is on the table,
Oh.
so you have to sit.
I'm
if you
sorry.
can.
Well, I'm going to get up again because I'm going to show you a picture of the sign.
Okay.
And that I'm thinking of.
You want her to put it on the table? Yeah, put it on the table, we'll show it on the board.
If you put it on your table.
This is another aspect of the technology that we are quite in the middle.
In the middle of the table.
Isn't this wonderful? Well, anyhow, I've been working with a company called Stewart Company down in Florida, and they're one of the top makers of these electronic signs. I think once you see it, you'll know how really nice it is. It's very similar in size to the sign that we now have on the park. I've made signs for years and years and years, and this was the type that I made first. You can just look at it here. I would print them out all the time, and I did this for several years.
There you go.
Oh, nice. Oops. Let me get this off.
All you
Your
have to
stuff.
do is point at your sign.
Bring it to you.
Bring it to you, Joyce.
Here you go, right.
Oh,
You're
Closer to Mrs. Sarad.
There you go.
All you have to do is.
There you go.
The cameras, okay.
there, okay, there it is. On the top, I have Jocelyn Park, and we have to remember that Dr. Jocelyn gave the land to Jocelyn, and that's why we name it Jocelyn Park. When the Green School was sold, Dr. Jocelyn owned that house, or bought it, or bought the land, and donated the land back to the town. So on the top of the sign, I would like this saying, or this sentence: this land was donated to the town of Oxford in 1928 by Dr. Elliot P. Jocelyn. Born in Oxford, Dr. Jocelyn was a pioneer in the field of diabetes, and I think he should be recognized for that. This sign has 7 lines of 5.5 letters. The sign can be changed, and new signs can be put on through the computer. It doesn't have to have anything except that, because all the mechanisms are inside the sign. Now, when I first showed Joe, I talked to him a few days ago about having an electronic sign. He's, oh no, oh my goodness. So I said, no, I don't want one.
that how you
Dancing.
sounded?
No, keep in mind, and, you know, my office staff couldn't believe that I said to her, what, something like centerfolds? And, on the park, really?
I believe Mrs. Sarad, you probably sounded like that.
I said, well, I hope
No, I
not.
said, no, nothing like that. It's going to be just a plain sign, even so it's electronic.
Yeah.
Now, in some cases, there might be a little figurine of let's say, a Easter bunny, a real nice little Easter bunny on the corner. It's not going to be a flashing sign. It's not going to be a moving sign. It's just a sign. After making signs for the park or putting them up for 25 years, I think we should go into this electronic age. This company has a good record. The sign is made in America with American goods. The only part of the sign that is not made in America is the board, where the pixels are. And nobody in America makes that. They have to go outside the country. But I think it's a real good sign. They gave me a quote on this sign. The quote is $16,041. And they have a lifetime guarantee on this sign. I was talking to the agent today on the phone, and he told me that if we use the method of using the Verizon lines to change this sign, if there's a problem with the sign, they can fix it over the internet. You know how you have cable TV? You call up the cable company, oh, it's not working. Well, they do it over their lines too, so it's very similar. And so I just wanted you to think about it. I'm going to be hopefully fundraising almost immediately for this sign, but I want to know your opinion, and you can call me on the telephone or just talk it amongst yourselves when you have a chance. And so that you wouldn't be, you know, what is this woman doing? Going to wreck our park? No, that's not the case at all. And I would love to just sit down at my computer and type in the sign. No more frozen fingers in the winter. Another thing that I wanted to point out too, with the sign we have presently, a lot of times I have to put two signs up at once. I have to misspell words, like if there's two R's, I have to put one R. So I'm misspelling things a lot. I don't know, but it's to get the word out that I want. And like this weekend is Easter weekend. I should have two signs up there now. One for the Easter Bunny that the Lions Club provide and give gifts to children who visit it free of charge. But I also should have a sign right there for the Easter morning sunrise service, and I can't. So this sign will provide that. When they first gave me this sketch, I called them and I said, no, that's too small. So they added one more foot to the actual sign where the letters are going to go. So there will be room for two signs if need be. But when I'm 90 years old and I don't want to do it again, well, so they'll train someone else to do it. And you can just do it with your computer. And so I just wanted to bring you up to date on this project, and I hope I can get the money for it. I'm praying for that I get the money for it. We'll save the town a lot of money. $16,000 is a good piece of change to save. I talked to Joe about the town highway department or town workers to prepare the lot for the sign, and he assured me that that could be done. And I also mentioned that we need an electrician, and he also mentioned that that could be done. So that will cut my costs down for this grant. And, you know, $16,000 is a lot of money to ask for something, and so that's where I'm at right now. So I just wanted to let you know about it.
And you did indicate to me earlier that the sign was going to be primarily the same size as what's there
A little
now.
bit larger, but not much.
Not much. Mr. Lamountain?
Mrs. Surratt, I'm glad you clarified that those were purposeful spelling errors, because I often wondered who the hell they had doing that sign. But, no, you know, I remember when you were building the bandstand. I don't remember how many years ago, but I remember the diligence you put in. Jocelyn Park is beautiful, and you put a lot of effort and work in over the last 25 years. That long ago, huh?
It's 26 this year.
Oh, I was a kid. But anyway, yeah, I recall everything you did. John, I'll tell you what, I don't need to discuss anything. Mrs. Saraj wouldn't let a sign go up that didn't look good in that park. She wouldn't do anything that didn't look good in that park. You wouldn't do anything detrimental to that park. If that's what you want, I'm telling you, I don't need to discuss anything. I'm with you.
Mr.
Thank you
Lamage?
very much, Hank.
Before Hank said it, that's what I want to say is I don't have to discuss this with anyone. I'm
That's
all
two.
for it. It sounds great. Yeah. It'll make your life so much easier, so go
Will
for
it
it.
ever?
Mr. Vos?
Just want to thank Mrs. Surratt for all the work she's done at the park. I've spoken to her a couple of times, and maybe you can get a booth at our tercentennial event this year, and it's a good opportunity for you to raise some money. But
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
all kidding aside, no, thank you very much. The illumination on it, is it going to be? It's going to go off at night, but that won't be. You know, there's residents
As
over
far
there.
as I know, it will.
So it won't be on all hours of the
I
night?
don't believe so. I don't
Okay.
believe so at this moment, and I'm sure that that's what I wanted off at night, you know, just visible during the day, because I don't want to offend any neighbors at all. And so, you know, I've got to call the guy back. He talked to me a couple of times today, and I said, you know, this is not the last call this week. You'll probably be hearing from me some more. That's fine, don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
One of
And,
the-
but I wanted them to print a sign similar to what we were gonna use. And, it can be blue, it can be light yellow, it can be anything with black lettering. And I think it's gonna really add, messages that are accurate, timely, and are changed quickly. Because I have a problem, I have to come outside, go uptown, go to the park in the middle of the winter, change the sign, climb over the snowbanks. I mean, it's ridiculous. So this would help the bandstand committee and anybody that wants a sign on the park, type right away, and boom, it's there.
Mr. Chairman, I have no problem, as long as it comes with spell check, so we can get those spelling errors corrected, because, you know, we don't want to reflect poorly on our educational system here
Exactly,
in Oxford. so-
exactly. Well,
No, I have no problem
I
with
spoke to Mrs. Surratt earlier, and I certainly support it. The only thing I did express to her is that she should check with the planning board, because we do have zoning laws regarding signage, and we don't want anybody to say that we went around the back door to get something done. And I'm sure that the planning board is going to welcome this as well this week, because we know that you put a lot of effort and work into what you do down there, and if this is gonna help you and help the residents of the community, I'm sure that we're all gonna support it. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much, and I did visit the planning board this afternoon,
Oh,
I got
good.
the rules and so on, and I'm gonna stop in tomorrow when the planner is in.
Good.
And,
Joe, we are exempt from our own,
Yeah, we don't
Thank
have
you.
to follow the rules.
Yeah.
just thought
But
so.
we'll just let them know, because I think they can do the blessing over it. Mrs. Sarad, you had told me you were going to apply for a grant. Would it be helpful if you had a letter of support from the Board of Selectmen?
It might, yeah.
Yeah, it might. So if you need that, we'll have it ready for you. We can draft something up,
Okay,
all
great,
right?
can you have it
Because
like
I
in
think
2
you have
days?
the, you see,
Casey?
when?
In
When,
2
is there a
days?
deadline on the Mouser
Well, I'd
trucks?
like to have my deadline as Thursday,
Okay, we'll see what we can do.
thank you.
Today's Tuesday.
Casey can write a
Very
letter in a
good.
day.
Yeah, I can do.
This is
I
Holy
just
Week. I'm
wouldn't
trying to
have a-
figure
Oh,
out
is that?
doing
Yeah.
all that information for the
Monday,
grant,
Thursday's coming up.
Okay,
An address for the
yeah,
grant.
okay,
Monday?
okay.
Thursday is the name for it.
But anyhow, I thank you very much, gentlemen, and thank you for letting me talk at the very end of your hours
Thank
tonight.
you.
Thank you.
No,
Nice
thank
to
you.
coming in.
Mrs.
Good
Surratt.
luck.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other business to come before the board? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Moved and seconded, call for the vote.
Yes.
yes.
Abstain.
Yeah, you're gonna